Good morning, my YouTube viewers. It is Crystal here. I'm just here because I wanted to give you another code review. What I wanted to do was I wanted to do quantile regression, but I wanted to use TensorFlow because in the previous code reviews we used quantile regression with sklearn, and I also had one with quantile regression with stats models, but I'm not sure that I did a code review on that. So this one is going to be using the geyser dataset, which we have previously used with quantile regression with sklearn, because I wanted to use the same dataset to see how far we got. But we're doing this with TensorFlow this time. So what I did was I used Google Colab to write the program, and Google Colab is a great platform to use to write code in Python, with the exception that it doesn't have a very good undo function, so you need to be very careful not to accidentally overwrite or delete code. If you do accidentally overwrite or delete code, you might be able to go back and get it from your history, but it's no guarantee, so it's best just to try not to do it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import our libraries, which we're going to import pandas as PD, and that's going to create your data frame and process the data. We're going to import NumPy as NP, which is going to create NumPy arrays and perform numerical computations. We're going to import TensorFlow as TF, and then basically that's going to perform your deep learning operations. We're also going to import sklearn, which is going to provide machine learning functionality. We're going to import matplotlib.pyplot SPLT. That's going to visualize your data, and we're going to import seaborn as SNS, which is going to statistically visualize the data. And you can look and see we're using version 2.12 of TensorFlow. And the reason why is because TensorFlow goes through so many changes. It's always best to know what version of TensorFlow that you're working on. So we're going to use a data set from seaborn. We're going to use the geyser data set, or the geyser data set. So we're going to load the data set up from seaborn, and we're only going to use the first two columns, being the duration and the waiting time. We're going to see what kind of columns they are. So the duration is a float and the waiting time is an integer. We're going to check for any null values, and we don't have any null values, so we don't have anything to impute. We're going to describe the data, and so this is statistics, so you can see what the mean is, the standard deviation, the min, the 25 percentile, the 50 percentile, the 75 percentile, and the max. So now we're going to perform a scatter plot so you can look at the data. So this is the duration. The X label is your waiting time, and your Y label is your duration. We're going to define our X and our Y variables. Your X is your waiting time and your Y is your duration. We're going to standardize the data set. So when we standardize it, we're going to be doing it on the standard deviation. We're going to create the quantiles of 0.1, 0.5, and 0.9. So you're going to have 3 quantiles. We're going to analyze the Y variable. So you can see that's a histogram of the Y variable. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use sklearn to split the data set into training and validation data sets. And we have to reshape our data frames. So xtrain equals xtrain dot values dot reshape negative 1 1, xval equals xval dot values dot reshape negative 1 1. So you have to reshape it to make it work. It won't work if you don't reshape it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to define our neural network, and it's going to be a sequential neural network, and input shape is going to be 1, and then the hidden layer is going to have 32 neural networks. The activation is going to be reglue, and the output is going to be the quantiles, Lin quantiles. And we know that there are 3 quantile figures, so the Lin quantiles is going to be 3. Now we're going to define the quantile loss function for quantile regression. Going to compile the model with a custom quantile loss function for each quantile level. And then after we compile it, we're also going to fit it, which means it's going to be trained, but the verbose is going to be 0, so you're not going to see all of the iterations and epochs that it makes. So now what we're going to do is we're going to predict on the quantiles, and since we had standardized the y variable, we have to unstandardize the y variable. So I'm not so sure about that because I've never really done quantile regression before, so normally the way that I standardized the data was just to standardize the x variable and not the y variable. But the way that it was done in this code that I borrowed, they standardized the y variable, and then if you standardize the y variable, you have to go back and unstandardize it. So that's what they did. They unstandardized the y variable. And now we're going to plot it on a graph and also sort it out to where you can check the RMS. So the RMS for point 1 is 1.0756.102. The RMS for 0.5 is 56141, and the RMS for 0.9 is 1.0736756, and this is the graph that it makes. And since I don't have a lot of experience with quantile regression, I can't tell you whether that's good or bad, but that's the graph that it has made. So that's it for this code review. It's I don't work a lot with quantile regression, but I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to use quantile regression for finances. And the reason why they want to use quantile regression for finances is because people obviously want to be able to invest their money and make as much money as possible on their investments. And so they feel that if they use quantile regression, then it will help them to predict the outcomes better. But since I've finished this code review, I'll go ahead and conclude this video. I can't tell you whether the outcome is good or not because I don't have a lot of experience with quantile regression. But thank you so much for watching my video. Thank you to my subscribers for supporting my channel. If you like my channel, please like, subscribe, and share. If you want to be notified whenever I make a new video, please tap onto the bell button next to the subscribe button. So thank you again, and I look forward to communicating with you in the next video.